Hello and welcome to Back Into Fishing. Down here at my community lake this morning, Lake Churchill. I wanted to come down now that the dredging is completed to do a quick video on how the dredge has affected some of my fishing spots, and this is the best place for me to start because it's the closest to where I parked. Going around to the north side of the lake first, then around the south side. As you really can't see, I'll insert a video clip from another video I did earlier about the water clarity here. It's not up to what it should be, in my opinion. It just doesn't want to seem to clear out. But this place was to be part of the spot dredge because the water clarity is still down. I can't really see if they've done anything in this area or not, but I'll let the little clip that I insert speak for itself, and I'm just going to continue to move on along the north side of the lake. Show up in the camera or not, it looks like it's muddy water, somewhat muddy, but to me there's something dissolved in the water that makes it look this way, and why the visibility isn't what it should be. But this has been this way or worse, I'll say, for 2 months or more, despite the fact that we've had no significant rain in over 2 months. Okay, this is really the first of my good spots where I've caught numerous fish this year that has been affected by the dredge. There's really two ways that the dredge can affect it, which is directly from the water being displaced when they were digging up the bottom, and two, from wave action. This one was not part of the spot dredge itself. It's wave action that really affected this. But about right in front of me here, this tree over the years had dropped 2 or 3 very large branches into the water. And when the water clarity was more than what it is now, you could actually see them in here quite plainly. It amazed me sometimes. I could throw out here and watch my bait hop along the bottom, and it would just disappear. Bass would come up, suck it in, and you'd never see it happen. But the wave action has definitely moved. If there were 3, I'd say it's definitely moved at least 1, possibly 2 of the big branches out of here. One of them is about 20-25 yards down here. I recognize it had a unique V in it, and that one is setting down here. As far as possible another one, I don't see it. I do see a lot of branches underneath the water that were part of whatever's remaining down there. I did catch some nice fish for this lake, especially in here this year. We'll have to wait till spring next year to see if this area comes back. Well, this to me is the most disappointing part fishing wise of the spot dredge. I'm about 30-second walk from the park area, going further up the lake. I actually see a spinnerbait in a tree here that I lost back in the spring. But as you walk through this area here, you see numerous trees that have been cut out or cut down and removed by the condo association. Each one of these and out around them was associated with it a branch structure in the water. This whole area here, when you were still able to get through it back in the spring. Now I was down here probably around the first week in July. The brush was so thick in here you couldn't get through it. They cleared a lot of that out, and I don't know if the condo association coming in here and pulling out all the brush out of the water and cutting down these trees was related in any way to the dredge or not, or they just coincidentally happened to happen at the same time. They put in a couple of new trees down in here. But as I'm looking along here, I'm not seeing any bluegill or anything swimming in the water. I did fish this area down here Tuesday, Halloween, throwing a spinnerbait through here, and I wasn't really detecting anything in the water branch-wise. Occasionally I would bump into something here and there. Now compared that back into the spring when I was last able to get into this area to fish, there was all kinds of stuff in here then. Of the most disappointing is this one right here. These 2 trees that came out of here. This one had a massive branch structure under it in the water, and I caught countless fish out of this. Similar to that one other spot, it was very shallow, right out directly from where the second tree is, and I came down here one day and caught 4 fish in that exact same way. I'd be hopping my worm along the bottom, and it would just disappear each time a bass would come up, suck it in, never saw the fish until I felt him or the line moved off, didn't even know he was there. But this is most disappointing. I don't know if this area has enough to hold fish in it structure-wise or not. I'll keep fishing as long as I can get down here, and the water is of a reasonable temperature, and we just have to wait again until next spring to see what happens. This is about the extent of how far up the lake I go. Previously it had just been so shallow up there, you could see fish in the water if they were there, and I never saw any. Well, here's the new bridge they put in. It's a nice looking bridge. The stream restoration project is also completed. Just waiting for some rain to get some water in the stream. I know it won't be visible on the camera. The second bridge up to the top of this hill is also completed, but the path is closed beyond that point, so I won't film any more for down here. Well, here's a spot that definitely has some future potential. This area was definitely part of a spot dredge. Previously, this was so shallow in here, you could see all the way across it. But since it's been dredged, I have no idea how deep the water is here, at least 2 or 3 feet. I actually caught a fish in this stretch Tuesday, and I think one day last week. Both times I've fished it, I've caught fish. The fish I caught the other day, Tuesday, was like just a mini point right here. He was right at the edge of that. And the other one was about another 20 or 30 feet up there. I don't fish it too much. I'm kind of just going to let the water cool down a little bit more and see if the fishing doesn't pick up here. I'm curious as to if there's additional possibilities with dredged out areas on the other side of the lake. Unfortunately, there really just isn't any access to that part. You can't see past the trees, but that's a very steep hill over there. There are no paths going through there, so I'm not sure that area is all accessible. It looks like there is one possible path area there. Next time I'm in that area, I'm going to check it out. This is the area previously known as my can't miss spot. I documented this pretty good in my last video, so I'll put a link to that in the description below. Suffice it to say, there was a large sunken log out there that had branches sticking up out of the water. Since I found this spot spring of last year, almost every time I come down here I'd catch fish. I might come down here and catch 8 fish off that log. I might only catch 1, but I always caught something. Since the log's been gone, I've caught 1 fish out of there, and it actually came casting parallel to the shore up to the left, and that might have just been a bass running the bank. I'll continue to fish this occasionally, but I have a feeling there isn't going to be anything productive off this spot again. The second biggest disappointment to me here in the lake is this area going right through here, almost directly out in front of me here, right now. The second largest bass I ever caught in this lake came out of this spot. But as you've probably seen, there's a bank almost everywhere with trees leaning in towards the lake, and over the years so many branches have fallen down and logs gotten into the water that you could possibly anywhere pick up a fish. But this area was especially heavy with branches and logs in the water back in the mid to late spring, even into early summer, until this bank became too hard to walk. There was just stuff in here everywhere. I came down here to one exceptionally large branch in the water back in April and took 11 fish off of it in about 30 minutes. None of them were keeper size, but I'm only in it for the fun. But this area is now totally gone. Not a branch in the water, maybe 2 logs on the shore that are still in there, and that's what's left of this spot. Now this is a spot where in one of my spring videos where the bass was spawning, that's right out in the area right here in front of me. This also doesn't look to be affected any by the spot dredge, with the exception of there's a log you can see maybe 30 foot offshore sticking above the water. That used to be more like about 50 foot out, and more of it was showing, so I'm having to assume that was moved out this way by the wave action. But otherwise, there just doesn't appear to be any changes to this area, which is a good thing. I've caught a few fish off the spot as well. Well, I'm sure a lot of you will recognize this as the bait stealing tree. It's been turned over on its side. I have to almost certainly think that was caused by wave action, because this is exactly where the barges would come in and out of when unloading. I've documented this in my last video. As I mentioned, I'll put a link to that in the description below. No need going over it again. Now, this will be interesting to fish come spring of next year. This is the cove that was dredged out. This is the first part where they started. And back in the spring, I caught a fair number of fish in here. Nothing really of any size. A couple of good ones. But that was before the dredge, and the water was shallow in here. I'm assuming that was probably just fish cruising the bank looking for an easy meal. Now that it's dredged out, it could be better. Can't wait for spring to get here and give it a try. There's 4 or 5 spots along here where I caught fish. Hope it pans out to be something next year. I tried shooting this video the other day. Wanted to make it as short as possible. Unfortunately, I took some fishing rods with me, was catching some fish, and then when I started to go and edit the video, I stopped at about 16 minutes. It just got to be too long. Now, I'll put together some short clips, or one big clip of the fish I caught the other day, just so you can see them. And other than that, I'm just hoping this comes out a lot shorter than the other one did. So until next time, go out and do some fishing. There, got about a nice small 7-inch bass off of it. So maybe hook into another one. Another one about 9.5, 10 inches. Definitely a keeper. Off this new spot. Hazy Daisy lures, net head, and a Bass Pro Shops 3-inch sticko. Can't tell you how many fish that setup has accounted for me. Now, here's a nice fish. 1.25 pounds maybe. 13, 14 inches. He is kind of fat. Alright, just barely make it a keeper on a spinnerbait. Strike King 1/8 ounce mini king. 5.5, 6 inch off the bait stealing tree. And another nice one off the bait stealing tree.